This radio program is PG-13. Parents strongly caution some material may be inappropriate for children under the age of 13.
The following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Arizona, Maricopa County, Phoenix. Brother Mike back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Thank you for tuning in today. Welcome to Filthy Fridays on Hardcore. Today's Bible study, Photoshop porn. Here we go again. Please don't call anybody and tell them the radio program's on. This is an in-house program today, just us. I'll do my announcements and get to this nasty thing. It's ugly on Hardcore today. This is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. We're downtown on 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. It's a red brick building. We've been around for years, and believe it or not, we've probably had more deliverances, supernatural deliverances, than any ministry anywhere in the western part of the United States, and we've probably had more healings. If we haven't had more healings, we've been close to it, so God has been merciful to us. If you need to be delivered or healed, for crying out loud, 602-636-5800. If you need counseling, you can get it free at the Deliverance Center. If you are a born-again Christian, that is 602-636-5800. HardcoreChristianity.com is the website. Please remember our Thursday and Friday night services at 7 o'clock. Please remember our ladies' Zoom service at 6:30 on Mondays. And our Zoom service for everybody at 6 o'clock on Wednesdays. All those times are mountain times. And our Thursday night services are shown on our YouTube teaching channel, youtube.com/houseofhealingaz. Please remember our children's deliverance service next month in March, the first Saturday in March. It's going to be powerful. We also have women's seminars. We also have my monthly deliverance training class every Saturday at noon on the fourth Saturday of the month. I've been on the radio for 21 years. Thanks to you. Thanks for sending in donations. Please hit the PayPal button and send in another one. And remember my Sunday morning podcast at 9 o'clock on twitch.tv/HCCADC. And you are there. Photoshop porn. Got an interesting article to share with you today. But the bigger picture is simply this. In Romans chapter 1, Paul lists the big 20. The big 20 are in Romans chapter 1. I summarized the whole chapter, wrote out the 20 points of apostasy of the planet Earth. As you know, before Noah's flood, the whole planet went into apostasy. Paul describes it here, and to my utter amazement and everybody else's, the world is doing it again. The entire planet goes into apostasy during the tribulation, and we are heading there right now. Check out Romans chapter 1. What did the people do? What happened to them? Number 1, they did not glorify God. Number 2, they became unthankful. Number 3, they were vain in their imaginations. 4, they became dark in their hearts. 5, they professed to be wise. 6, they became fools. 7, they changed the glory of God. 8, they dishonored their bodies. 9, they changed truth into a lie. 10, they worshiped creation as God. 11, they served creatures, not God. 12, they submitted to vile passions. 13, women became lesbians. 14, men became gay. They rejected the knowledge of God. They became a reprobate in their mind. 17, they were completely perverted sexually. Number 18, they were filled with indignation. 19, they despised the coming judgment. 20, they glorified their wickedness. Those are the top 20, the big 20 of apostasy, of world apostasy. Romans chapter 1. You say, is it happening? Happening, of course. The Southern Baptist Convention, loaded with perverts. Hillsong, loaded with perverts. Roman Catholicism, loaded with perverts. Mormonism and the Boy Scouts, loaded with perverts. Loaded with perverts. Romans chapter 1. Then men went into homosexuality. Women became lesbian. They submitted to vile passions. Number 12, 13, and 14 on the Big 20 list. Check it out. In Kentucky, go with me to a school, a Catholic school there, a junior high. Quote, an arrest warrant. Here's the article. An arrest warrant was issued for a Catholic school teacher in Kentucky who allegedly used Photoshop to transpose school yearbook photos from his school onto nude images of minors and distributed them to others. He sent them around on social media, on his email. Okay? This was a guy named Jordan Fultz. Jordan Fultz taught at St. Stephen Martyr Catholic School. He got arrested for distributing child pornography and distributing obscene visual representations of children. Oh, that can't be good. If convicted, Fultz faces 40 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. Can you imagine that? The people on Epstein Island, of course, and Hollywood, of course, does a lot worse than this Fultz guy. Much worse. P. Diddy's parties, raging sexual perversion, frequent sex with minors, Hollywood, Epstein, Diddy. Check it out. They get nothing. Of course they don't. Of course they don't get anything. The billionaires, the oligarchs, the multimillionaires that run the country, they do what they want, when they want, and they get off 99% of the time. 99% of the time. 1% of the time, they'll throw in a piece of meat. Somebody gets caught and convicted. Oh, look, we're cleaning up our act. And they walk out giggling, cleaning up their act. What a joke. Sexual perversion and rot gut sin in Hollywood and politics, our school systems, the government is worse now than it's ever been. Wickedness is running rampant, all predicted in God's word. But they hunt down this teacher at the school, and rightly so. The guy's a pervert, typical Catholic situation, only this guy's not a priest. He's a religious teacher. He taught 7th and 8th grade students at St. Stephen. If Stephen was a saint, he'd be rolling over in his grave right now. This is what the article said, quote, certain of these materials have been manipulated by morphing or photoshopping original child sexual abuse materials with other non-explicit images of minors. Translation. This guy would take the faces of girls in his school out of the yearbook, and he would Photoshop them on to the bodies of, naked women, hot babes. And then he distribute them as if, hey, this is a hobby of mine. Do you like it? Okay, 40 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. That's a pretty expensive hobby. That would have to give you an enormous satisfaction. How can that even be? It doesn't make any sense. Of course it doesn't make sense. It's caused by demons. Southern Baptist Convention, the Mormons, Hillsong, the Roman Catholic Church. What's going on there? Nobody does deliverance in any of these organizations. People get into the ministry, they get involved in religion. They're not required to go through deliverance. Therefore, they are not required to remove their lust demons. What happens later? The lust demons manifest and scandals break out everywhere. Then what happens? Well, personal injury lawsuits suddenly start cropping up. Aren't those interesting? Very interesting, to the tune of multi-million-dollar settlements. The kids at the school, traumatized by what this teacher did, they will be suing the school, and the Roman Catholics will have to cough up stacks of million-dollar bills once again. And it never stops. Pope Francis never cleaned up any of this sexual perversion in the Roman Catholic Church. Pope Benedict was so discouraged by it and so depressed by it and saw that it was so out of control that he quit. Have you ever heard of a pope quitting? The dude quit. He said, "This is ridiculous. There's nothing I can do to stop this. It's too pervasive. It's systemic. I can't stop it and I give up." Pope Francis said, "Man, you're right. I'm not even going to touch this thing. Let's just hope the lawsuits will dim down a little bit." Guess what? They don't go down, they only go up. Demons do not go down, they only go up. Once a spirit enters your body, whether it's a spirit of infirmity causing a sickness, whether it's a spirit of lust causing a sexual perversion, an LGBTQ issue, or a transgender issue, once that happens, it always gets worse. The demons never stay in one spot. They don't go copacetic. They always improve. Everything always gets worse. That's what happened before Noah. Everything had gotten to the point where God said he regretted making man. He was going to reboot the system and start over. He promised never to destroy the earth in the flood again, and it has never happened. But the tribulation is only a few years away now. You can see the Bible prophecy clearly now. We couldn't 30 or 40 years ago. We can see Bible prophecy right in front of our face. The end is coming. And these symptoms of sexual perversion and these Christian organizations that are rotten to the core are only an example of the prophecy. In the latter times, some shall depart from the faith. 1 Timothy 4. Some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and teachings of demons, having their consciences seared with a hot iron.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.